Example 1, of the cars on a used car lot, 70% have air conditioning and 40% have GPS. 20% of the car have both. So our first step of solving this question is to create a contingency table, which we have done here. And in the contingency table, we have two categorical variables. First categorical variables we have is AC and no AC. So that's in the row, we have AC and no AC. Second categorical variables that we have is GPS and no GPS. So that's the second categorical variables. And then we know that for the contingency table, all the probability has to add up to 100%. So that's why we have the total 100% here. And in the question, we're given that 70% of the car have air conditioning. So that's why for AC, probability of AC equals to 70%. So that's your marginal probability. Probability of AC equals to 70%. And then same idea, we have the 40% for GPS. So your marginal probability for GPS, so probability of GPS is 40%, so 0.4 in the column of GPS total. So probability of GPS equals to 40%. And then the last number that we see in the question is 20% of the car have both. So this is a joint probability. So 20% of the car have both GPS and AC. So that's why we put the 20% in the cell for probability of AC and GPS. So cars that have both GPS and AC is 20%. So that's why we put it in the joint probability, 20% here. Once we have filled out these three numbers, what we can do is we can solve for the marginal probability first. So what we know is that everything has to add up to 100%. So we know that 70% of the car has AC. So 70% of the car has AC. So what that means is that 30% of the car will have no AC, because 70% plus 30% has to add up to 100%. So 100% is all the car in the market. And from all the car in the market, 70% of the car has AC. So that means 30% of the car has no AC. So that's how we get the 30%. So 0.7 plus 0.3 equals to 100%. Same idea for GPS and no GPS. We know that all the car has to add up to 100%. And within all the cars, 40% of the car have GPS. So therefore, 60% of the car will have no GPS, because 40% plus 60%, these two numbers has to add up to 100%. So therefore, 60% is the percentage that has no GPS. Once we have solved for the marginal probability on the outside, then we can look at the joint probability inside. And we're going to look at the probability of AC and no GPS, which is 0.5. And how we get the 0.5 is that we know that all the car that has AC is 70%. So all the car that has AC is 70%. And within all the car that has AC, 20% of the car have GPS. So therefore, within the car that has AC, the remaining is the 50%. The 50% of the car will have no GPS. That's why we take the 0.7, which is all the car that has AC, minus the 0.2, which is 20% of the AC car that has GPS. And that will give you the 0.5, which represent the remaining 50% of the car that has AC but no GPS. Same idea for the 0.2 here that we have for no AC and GPS. We know that 40% of the car has GPS. And within 40% of the car, we know that 20% of them has AC. So that means the remaining amount, which is the other 20%, will have no AC. So that's why we just put 0.4 minus 0.2 will give you the 0.2. That is the percentage of the car that has GPS and no AC, because everything has to add up to the 0.4 for the GPS total. To find out the last number, which is your no AC and no GPS, what we do is we know that 60% of the car has no GPS, and within 60% of the car, 50% of the car have air conditioning. So therefore, when we subtract 60% minus the 0.5, therefore we get the 0.1. And 0.1 is the probability of the car that has no GPS and no AC. So again, 60% of the car have no GPS. And within the 60%, 50% of the car have air conditioning. And when we subtract these two numbers, we'll get the 0.1. And that is the probability of the car that has no GPS and no air conditioning. So once we have completed the contingency table, then we can solve for the questions below.